Hi friends, welcome to our channel Exam Elements. So in previous video we already discussed about what is meant by engineering mechanics and what are the focus of the subject. So and also we study about the classification of engineering mechanics. So engineering mechanics is mainly focused on the study of response of bodies under the action of the forces. So we also study about the what is meant by bodies, what is meant by response. In this topic we detail discussed about system of the forces. So in this topic we discussed about what is the mean by forces and characterization of the forces and classification of system of the forces. First of all, what is mean by force? The definition you already study about in our school level. Force is a push or pull upon the object. Force is a push or pull upon an object. So if you apply some force in stationary object, the stationary object will move. In stationary object, when you apply some force, the object will move. So this is the one of the basic definition of the forces, but this is not the exact definition of the forces. So exact definition is force is the external agent. So force is the one of the external agent that capable of changing the state of rest or motion of the particular body. So force is the one of the external agent that capable of changing the state of rest or motion of that particular body. For example, I take one water bottle. So it is the one of the body. So I am up. I am putting on my hand. So I am lying on my hand. The water bottle are lying on my hand. So you imagine it is our ground level. So you imagine it is my hand are in ground. You imagine the water bottle are put in the ground level. So the water bottle are stationary. The water bottle will be stationary condition. So if any forces are acting, to maintain the body in the stationary condition, yes, there is some forces acting to maintain the stationary of the object, stationary condition of the object. What are the forces? What are the forces are there? So there is two forces. One is the gravitational force. Gravitational force are pulling the object. Gravitational force are pulling the object towards the center of the earth. So another one is the my ground level. My ground level also apply to equal force. Apply to equal force which are opposite to the gravitational force. To maintain the force, to maintain the balance of the force. These two forces are balanced. One is the gravitational force and another one is the normal force which applied our ground level. These two forces are balanced, so the object will be in stationary condition. So the net force effect is zero. So the net force is zero, so the object will be stationary. If the net force is not equal to zero, the object will move. If the net force is stationary, the object will not move. The net force is not equal to zero, the object will move. So these are the basic things of force. For another example, if the ball are lying on the ground, so the ball will stationary. When will the ball will stationary? So the net forces are balanced. What are the forces? One is the gravitational, another one is the normal force. These two forces are balanced. So the net effect will be zero. So the body will remain rest at stationary conditions. So if the two forces are balanced, the net force is zero. So the object continues to remain at rest. The gravitational force are pulling towards to the center of the earth, and the normal force are applied by our ground surface. So it is equal to the gravitational force and opposite to the direction of the gravitational force. These two forces are balanced, so the net effect is zero. So net force equal to zero. So the body will at a rest condition. So it is another case. In previous case, we discussed about stationary object. Now the ball is kicked some person. So you imagine if the ball are kicked some person, the ball are moving. The ball are displacement to some distance. So in this case, the gravitational force are there and also the reaction force are there, but the ball are moving because I applied one force. I applied, for example, 10 meters per second. If you apply 10 meters per second force, the ball are displacement. The ball getting displacement to cover some distances, and cover some distances. The balls also stopped. Why they stopped? So why the ball moving after covering some distances while the ball are stopped? So there are some forces. If not any forces are there, the ball are continuously moving. So there are some forces are stopped the ball. What are the forces? So there is a frictional force. In our ground, we have some friction between the ball and the ground. The friction force are towards opposite to the apply force. So the ball are moving some displacement. So the ball were stopped after covering some distance. So these are the one case. This case there are no friction. We have smooth surface. There are no friction. There are no air resistance. If you applied some force, for example, if you applied some 10 Newton force, if you applied some 10 Newton force, the ball are moving. There is no air friction. So there is no friction. We have smooth surface. So the ball are not stopped. The ball will move continuously at uniform velocity. So this is the two cases we study about the motion, change of state of motion of the bodies. Okay. So if the object is moving at a uniform velocity, if the object is moving at a uniform velocity and the net force acting it is zero, the net force acting it is zero, then it will continue to move at the same uniform velocity. This condition, the net force is zero because the gravitational force are there and the reaction force is there. The net force is zero, but the ball are continuously moving because the force are you applied force. There is no resistance force are there. So the force are unbalanced. So the body are continuously moving at a uniform velocity. So these are the basic concepts of force. These are the basic concepts of force. So these are the force characterization. You mention the force using this four characterization. First of all, force is measured by magnitude and direction, line of action and point of application. Magnitude and direction both are the important because force is mentioned. Force is the vector quantity. Force is mentioned because 10 Newton rightwards. It is the it contains magnitude and direction also. So line of action is the way your force are horizontal or vertical. You mentioned that in the point of line of action. And the point of application is very important. If you apply forces on some body, where the force is applied, where the point is applied, if the body having so many points, so where the force is applied. For example, if the body contains A, B, C, D, so where the force is applied, where the forces, for example, I applied 10 Newton forces, where the point is applied forces. I applied 10 Newton force. So I applied point O. So the point of application is very important. So these are the characterization of force. Force has the vector quantity and SI unit of the force is Newton. So these are the force characterization. Next we discussed about system of the forces, a collection of the forces acting on the body that we want to study. System of the forces defined as a collection of the forces that acts on the body that we want to study. So we are talking about the describe the group of forces. In system of the forces are describe the group of the forces. How collectively force can be defined. How collectively force can be defined on that body. So it is mainly classified into two types, coplanar and non-coplanar. Coplanar forces and non-coplanar forces. Coplanar forces are Also, all the forces are acting on a single plane. In coplanar forces, all the forces are acting on a single plane. In non-coplanar, all the forces are acting on a different plane. Each force are acting at a different plane. In coplanar, you mentioned about two-dimensional objects. In non-coplanar, three-dimensional objects. Non-coplanar are not study about in our subject engineering mechanics. In engineering mechanics, coplanar subject we study about in this topic. So coplanar are further classified into three types. One is the collinear force system, one is the concurrent force system, non-concurrent force system. So in coplanar force systems are further classified into three types. So one is the collinear and another one is the concurrent and non-concurrent. So collinear forces. So all the forces developed, they will be acting along the line of action. So the n number of the forces acting on the body. So all the forces are acting in the line of action, in same line. All the forces are acting on the same line. So line of action is the one of the imaginary line. So we extend in the direction of the forces. So in F1, F2 are two different forces acting opposite direction, but the same line of the action. Same line, the forces are passing through it. If you added some forces for F3, F4, all the forces are acting the same line only. So those forces are called as collinear forces. Next one is the concurrent forces. Concurrent forces, if there are different forces, but the line of the action are passing through the single point. Line of the force of all the forces passing through the single point. For example, one weight are lifted some two tension forces. So tension 1 and tension 2, there are two different forces, or the two different forces are directed into two directions, but the line of action passing through the single point. So the line of portion of the two different forces are passing through the single point. So this is meant by concurrent forces. Another one is the non-concurrent forces. If the given forces is neither collinear nor concurrent. So the given force is neither collinear nor concurrent, then must be a non-concurrent. So if the body, all the forces are acting different plane, different line of actions. So the condition I already explained in collinear and concurrent are not applied in this condition. So all the forces are differently acted. So if F1, F2, F3 or F4 are not here through the single point. So it acted at a different plane and a different line of action. So this is the non-concurrent forces. So these are the main classification of system of the forces. So in this video, we already detailedly discussed about forces and the definition of the forces and the characterization of the forces and the classification of the system of the forces. So in next video, we discuss about what are the laws of forces. So various laws are used in to define the forces. So in next video, we discuss about various laws in the forces. Thank you.